Right, I'm with Chloe Ronaldson, who's a bit nervous about this by the look of things, because she's asked to see the questions and I won't let her. So, but I'm honoured here to be with, one of, if not the greatest British female skater of all time, Chloe Ronaldson, and it's been a long time coming, this interview, and I can see how nervous she is, so I'll hopefully put her at ease. But just for the record, Chloe, so when and where were you born?
Epping.
In Epping, yeah? And that was, I'll say November the 30th, I won't say the year for the tape.
You can do.
Okay, well, it was 1939. So, and is Chloe Ronaldson your full name, or have you got a middle name?
No, full name.
And so you're born and bred in London, well, Epping, and then you come to London. So I know when we spoke earlier, you said you came to this house actually in Battersea when you was 11. What was it like living in London back then?
Well, we came to London in 1951.
Right.
For the Festival Gardens, and my mother helped plan it. And we used to live in across the road in Prince Wales Drive until this place became ready, and we've been here since 1951.
And so just for people who don't know, this is like, this is right at the entrance to Battersea Park, just over Chelsea Bridge. And so you've been in here, what did we say,
66 years.
66 years. So can you believe it? So how did you get into roller skating then?
We was living at Margate before we came here, and my brother did it. So I wanted to do it, but I could only go if he wasn't there, because he used to talk to all the girls.
Was he the older brother?
Well, I've only got one brother.
Yeah, he's I'm to say he's older than you. Yeah.
So in the end, I saved up and I got myself a pair of boots from a sample shoe shop, and they was 15 shillings. And I got myself a pair of skates for 10 shillings, which is £1.25 now, for the whole lot.
And is this in Margate?
That was in Margate. And then I used to do, I played hockey. I used to do dancing. I used to do everything. And one night, my team were playing Folkestone Stars or something at Folkestone for the final of the league, and I was only about 14. So we went by train. None of us had a car or anything. We went by train. And when we got there, the goalie hadn't turned up for the other team. So they said, "Will I go in goal?" Because we all travel. No, so I'm frightened of goal. I'll play bully, because that was my position. So I played bully. I scored the only goal in the match. So nobody spoke to me all the way home.
So you scored the only goal in the match for the other team?
Yeah. And they gave me a little Folkestone badge for helping them to win the league. So I wasn't popular that day. And then after that, I thought, then I took up speed skating. I thought, if you go across the line first, you've got to...
And was that still in Margate? Speed skating in Margate?
Well, it was a long, straight rink and a little tight curve. So you'd go up and you'd sort of hockey stop to get round the bend and go back up again.
Did they have a speed skating club in Margate then, or was it just...
Yeah, Margate, yeah.
Okay. And how old would you have been then? I could only have been, in 9, 10, something like that?
No, about 12, I suppose.
Right, okay.
So then I took up speed skating. I used to do everything. If dancing come on, I went on and danced, and used to have some good... I loved skating. So my dad used to come and watch me play hockey when we was playing hockey. And then there was some speed tests going on in Margate. And Mum and Dad didn't really know what I could do. So they took me down in the car, and went for the speed test, and I nearly died. George Lord, Bert Lamb, Bob Alford, all the officials come out in evening suits, and this was in the morning. And I looked at my mum and I thought, so I said, what do I have to do? They said, just get on the line. I had to do a mile and go as fast as you can for as long as you can. So I did, and they gave me a set time to do, and I knocked 15 seconds off that. It was 15 seconds faster than the men's time.
Wow.
So my mum gave me a box of chocolates. That was a good time. And then, I don't know, I just did anything that was coming for skating. And then when I come up to London, I packed up.
Okay.
And then I started going to Brixton.
How far is Brixton from here?
2 buses,
Is
not
that,
far.
Okay, not far.
There was a Brixton club, which a man called Harry Pizzy started off, and then there was the Falcons, Brixton Falcons.
Oh, so there was 2 clubs?
There was 2 clubs.
Oh, I didn't realise there was 2.
Yeah, and that was at Brixton Ring. And a lady called Mrs. Davy owned the rink. And then this Harry Pizzy went he'd take us training, take us miles away and make sure you'd no money on you, so you had to run back to home, you know. So I thought, I didn't like that idea, so I went over to Johnny Ellis's club, Johnny and Joni Ellis, and I stayed with them for quite a long time.
Was that the Falcons then?
Yeah.
Okay. So
first of all, I was in the
Brixton club.
Roller Speed Club.
Yeah.
Then I went to Brixton Falcons.
Oh, okay.
And there was the Burfords there and all that lot.
Because there was the Brixton, was it the All Blacks? There was the Brixton All Blacks, but was that nothing?
I think that was before.
So there's the Brixton All Blacks. So Brixton had 2 clubs, Brixton and Brixton Falcons. So there was 2 clubs. I didn't realise there was 2 clubs.
Yeah.
So, but when I look in the record books, it says that you joined the NSA in 1952.
Yeah.
So you'd have been 13 then when you joined the NSA.
Well, that's when I done the speed test.
I see. So you joined
I had to join the NSA to take the speed test.
And they let you do a speed test at 13?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, it was a ladies' speed test. They didn't have tiered ones. You either had to do the men's time or the ladies' time.
And where did you do that, the speed test? Which rink?
Margate.
It was in Margate. That was in Margate.
Alzheimer's, you
I
told you it was Brixton.
Margate.
Margate.
So, what I also noticed as well is that you became a life member of the NSA quite early on.
Yeah.
So, why was that? What made you become a life member really early on? What?
Well, I think it was. I don't quite remember. I think it was £5 to become a life member.
Uh-huh.
And £1.50 a year. So I thought, well, if I'm going to stay in it, have a fiver's worth.
So it was cheaper?
Yeah.
Yeah, so, oh, right.
Well, it was a lot of money, £5.
So, when you joined the Brixton club and then Johnny Ellis's club, the Brixton Falcons, how long before you started to race? Because was the races for juniors back then or not?
No.
So how long before you started to race?
Whenever I was allowed to.
So yeah, do you remember your first race at all?
Yeah, I remember my first race. It was a handicap at the Palace, and it was when the song Davy Crockett was out, and I fell over, and my shorts had like and I had like a little tail flapping, and everybody started singing Davy Crockett. So I got up. I was very embarrassed. That was my first race. And my second race was down at Herne Bay, and I won the quarter mile.
And that was your second race?
Mm.
So you was 18 then?
I don't know, John.
Yeah, I can say.
Because I remember, I was still in Brixton when I won my first.
Yeah.
Brixton Club, not Falcons, because Harry Pizzy told me I wasn't good enough to go to the championships. So I put an entry form in and thought I'll have a go.
Ah, okay.
So it was one of the nicest championships because they held me upside down over the side of the pier going to drop me in. And we stopped on the way home from the Herne Bay. We was in a coach and we stopped at the toilets on the top of Chatham Hill. And they rolled me in the snow and then the coach drove off and left me out to run after it. And then the next day, I eventually got home. The next day I said to my brother, would he take me to see Pizzy and show him the cup? And we was going round Clapham Common and a kid had threw a snowball, hit my brother in the eye and he's got an eye out here. So he went mad at me for entering. I said, but I won. He said, it makes no difference, I told you not to.
Well, I can tell you that again, like when I look back at the record books, is that like the date that you won it, your first championship was the 8th of March 1958, right? So you was 18 when you won, okay, and that was your first one.
Well, that must have been how old you could start to run.
Yes, it must have been. So that was in the March. So in March, yeah, so you turned 18 in the November, and then you must have won in the March then. So what's interesting, and when I look back, is that no other medals were awarded. The second and third place skater got disqualified. Did you know that? Can you remember that?
I just went from the gun,
Yeah.
got away from them,
Yeah.
and they was fighting amongst us.
Yeah.
Bobby Woodley and Pat Easton.
Exactly, it was Bobby Woodley and Pat
I
Easton,
think
yeah.
it was.
Because as I said, is that in the I've not got who was in the race, but what I know is that it said that Chloe Ronaldson wins, and
The other two got disqualified.
the other, yeah, in the final got
But
disqualified. But you was away clear.
I got a flyer.
Yeah,
Well, I mean, I
Yeah,
never
yeah.
jumped the gun, but I
Yeah,
got
yeah.
a flyer,
yeah.
and I didn't even know they was there. I didn't know I'd won, actually. When I came off, I said, how many more times do I have to skate? I didn't know what you had to do.
So at that point, then, was you must realise that you're quite good at skating.
No.
Yeah. So where was it before you started to realise, actually, I ain't bad at this?
I don't think I ever did.
It never really sunk in that this is so.
When you get one championship, I thought, oh, I'd like to get 3.
Yeah,
And then you get 3, so you want to go for 6.
yeah.
And then you just keep,
So who back in like the late 50s, early 60s? So who was the people you were racing against? I know you'd got Barbara, Bobby Woodley, and
Bobby
and
Woodley,
Pat Easton,
Pat Easton,
Pat Barnett.
Pat Barnett,
Who else was there?
Joan Rawlins,
Yeah,
the Thatcher girls, Joan and
Betty.
Betty, Margaret Dangerfield, I think her name was. Then there was some Birmingham skaters. Yeah, there was. I think there was about 40.
And what was it like? Was it quite a social thing? Was it quite a social, or was the? Because I mean, like we see the skating now, and it's a bit.
Oh no, it's much better.
But in terms of that, back then, was it a social event, or was it still quite serious, or what?
No, there wasn't serious. It would be serious when you got on the line,
Yeah.
and you'd be serious until you come off the line, till you'd finished. But no, it wasn't. Everybody was friendly, and it was nice. No knives flying.
So where did you used to train?
I used to train Battersea Park with John Foley, Bill Sharman, Ron Hawkes used to come sometimes. One more boy, and I can't, he passed away.
Ted Cook.
Teddy Cook, yeah. And Ray Wortley would occasionally come. He was a very good skater, Ray
Strong.
Wortley.
Yeah.
No, I think that was all. That they used to come and knock on my door at 5 o'clock in the morning, and then we used to have to go and sweep the track
So where was the track?
around the fun fair.
Oh right, okay. It's not still there though, is it?
The funfair's not.
No, is the track is it? So was it? What was it?
It was just
Was it a rink or what?
No, it was just around the rides.
Okay. Okay. All right. So what were sessions like back then? Were they tough or
What, a training session?
Yeah.
Well, I remember once, I must have been having a real good time because they said, look, when the boys pass you, you move inside. This was when the trials was on. And I passed the boys. And I never forget, I don't know who the trainer was at the time, but we had a good laugh over there.
And who was it, when you was at the Falcons, who coached you? Who was the trainer?
Johnny Ellis was the trainer.
He was the trainer, was he?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I had to come out of that club because there was a boy that didn't like girls racing.
Who was that?
And he used to put me over the barrier very, very regular. And one day he put me over the barrier so hard I had a white t-shirt on and all the paint came off from the barrier and it hadn't been painted for about 100 years.
Who was that? Not Bill Liney.
Yeah. What made you say Bill Liney?
I vaguely remember we had this conversation some years back.
Oh, yeah, it was Billy Liney. Or he sent me into the cafe and I went up to John and I said, John, if I don't leave here, he's going to kill me. I mean, it was nearly hospital cases. I was going home black and blue. And he just didn't, I don't think he didn't like me as a person. He just didn't like girls skating.
Right.
And I suppose I could hold my own and,
Well, who other girls were in the Brixton club then? In the Brixton Falcons back then? When you were skating?
I don't really remember them.
I know Pat Barnett skated for Brixton at one point, but I don't know if she skated before.
No, she was in North London when I was in Brixton.
Right, okay.
No, she was in Southern, either North London or Southern.
She went to. I know she did in the Southern in the '60s because they set up in the '60s. But I know, because people like Diane Coopy.
She was Broadway.
Diane Coopy was Broadway. Okay, she went Brixton. I know she was Brixton early on. I don't know if she went to Broadway, so the fact that you left Brixton was Bill Liney. You didn't.
Well, he would have killed me in the end. I mean, he used to put me through the barriers so regular.
And you joined Broadway then?
Yeah.
So that would have been round about, I think that was I can't remember.
There was a lot of people in the Broadway. I mean, it was Joan Rawlins, all the, there was a load of women.
Yeah.
We used to have a run round and it used to go the whole of the palace with that many skaters.
So when you switched to Broadway, did your training venue change? Did you start then training at the Palace, or did you still train here at Battersea? Did you still train with the Brixton Club?
Well, you train with your Broadway club.
Yeah. And where were they skating? Was the Broadway rink open back then, or was that closed down?
No, Broadway used to train at
the Palace.
Yeah.
Okay, so Broadway. So the Cricklewood rink weren't.
I think I skated once or twice on Cricklewood. I don't.
No, it closed down. Yeah.
It was down Edgware Road.
That's right.
Yeah.
I think it's a travel lodge now. So when you join Broadway and you now start training at the Palace then, did you keep in touch with the Brixton guys and train still?
Oh yeah, we used to.
And did you train with them on Battersea, or where did your training change?
Oh no, like Bill and John carried on coming.
Right.
Johnny Foley and Bill Sharman. Sometimes Ron.
So the next time you have a go at a British title, you finished second to Pat Eason it was the half mile on Leicester, and that was the next time. But in the first few years, like it seems that especially in the half mile, that it's between you and Pat Eason. She won it in 58, 59, 61 and 64. You won it in 60, 62 and 63. Did you consider Pat Eason to be your main rival back then?
As far as I was concerned, when I went to the line, if there was 4 people on it, they all had a chance. I never ever thought I was better than anyone else. I've always thought in life, in skating and everything, nobody's better than me and nobody's worse than me. I've never had a superiority or inferiority.
So you never looked at any of the skaters and thought, that's the one I've got to beat today? Or
No.
it was just a case of...
Well, you just went on the line and done your best. And if you won, you won, and if you didn't, you didn't. I mean, I was the same if I won or if I lost. I mean, many a times I put the cup in the boot of the car and it'd be there 2 or 3 days later.
So when we get to 1960, so you're now, well, you're 20, you come up to your 21st birthday, and you get your first call up for the British team, which is the World Championships in Wetteren in 1960, to skate the World Championships. Can you remember the trials and being told then that you're in the team back then? Can you remember what?
Where were the trials?
I don't know where they were. I'm guessing that the trials were actually by Tower Hill.
Huh?
I imagine the trials would have been by Tower Bridge,
Oh,
Muscovy Street, and
Yeah.
there. That's what I think they were for 1960.
yeah. Yeah, it was Pat East and Pat Barnett, myself. I can't think.
I think that was it for that team.
No, there was another.
And the first time you went to Wetteren, Barbara Woodley.
Bobby.
Bobby
Yeah.
Woodley. Because in actual fact, so the team was yourself, Pat Barnett, Pat Eason, Bobby Woodley, but you only skated the 500 metre knockout, and then Henry Crystal
pulled the team.
the team,
Yeah.
and
Because something was wrong with Bobby.
she skated against the German lady, and they mucked up on the laps and they wanted a rerun, and Bobby refused to do the rerun.
Well, Bobby had won it at
Yeah.
the 500 metre, and then
Yeah.
they put another lap on.
Oh, they put another lap on.
I think that was it. Yeah.
And she didn't want to. What did you feel about that at the time when the team was withdrawn? Did you agree or disagree, or how did you feel?
Well, we was a team, and if you're a team, you take what comes. You know,
Was you disappointed the fact you'd only
I
skated
don't
once?
really remember. You
Right,
know.
yeah.
No, as far as I'm concerned, when you was a team, you went away and you helped each other. You know.
Because that was also the year that Leo crossed the line first and was disqualified to last place in the 5K for skating inside the line.
No, it wasn't a good year.
I just wondered, because that was your first time abroad, and like I say, you're only 20. Was it quite?
I don't know how I became very friendly with the Lambrecht sisters.
Right. Okay.
But I did. I mean, I think they was about 14 when I first knew them.
Yeah, it wouldn't have been very.
Because they used to come here. Because I'd be coming back with my car and Annie would say, "Can I come with you?" And I'd say, "Yeah, all right." She'd grab her toothbrush and her skates and she'd come here. And she'd stay, which my clothes fitted her anyhow. So. And she used to help us over the park, and she loved it over there. And then Josette would come to see where Annie was. And then after Josette came, Mummy and Daddy come to see where the kids were. But I used to go and stay with them. It was like a second home to me. It was Mama and Papa. I remember we used to buy him some Old Spice aftershave, when he loved it. He used to work for Citroën, making cars.
Yeah.
And the mum looked after a shop. No, it was good fun. And when Annie went to the palace in Belgium to get something she was being presented with, she took Mum and I with her. So we've been to some very nice places, you know.
Yeah.
And no, it was nice.
Well, I know that when the team in 1960 was pulled out by Crystal, and I think Bert Lamb was also there at the time. Is the following year, Britain didn't send a team, and it was 1961 to Spain. I think Voltrega, and then and France was Goujan Mestras, and they didn't send a team, but in I know also that year though is that you and Bobby Woodley dead heated for first in the half mile at the embassy.
Oh, I come back from Spain.
Yeah.
I come back from Spain on holiday. I drove up to Birmingham. I raced and we dead heated, and I said to Bobby, seeing you haven't had it before, you take the shield and you take the gold medal. And I got the silver one. They said they'd give me another gold one, and I got a silver one where they'd over engraved it.
Oh, did they?
But
yeah.
I was happy for Bobby to have it because she hadn't had it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know? So I mean, do you remember the race? You know, did you?
Well, yeah.
Did you think you'd won?
I didn't know what I'd done. Quite honestly, I was so tired. I mean, it's a 1,000-mile drive.
Yeah. Because that was, I think, that was the first time the race had been on the embassy for quite a while as well.
Yeah. I'll tell you what I've got in my bedroom is a picture of the embassy's skating rink.
Really?
Advertising it. Yeah.
You have to have a look at that.
Yeah.
So that was 60 years. So you and Bobby, you get you awarded a dead heat. I think it's the only time in British Championships for the women that has been a dead heat for a race. That's interesting. So in 1962, you get selected for Venice.
Yeah.
And you get silver in the 500 metre knockout in the World Championships. Can you remember the earlier rounds and the build-up to it?
I'll tell you what, it was so hot you could have cooked an egg on the track.
Really?
And
Was it a bank track?
yeah, it was a new bank track. And I said to them, please can we have the finals later? I said, I can't keep this, you know. She was in, what happened, Marissa Denise?
Is that who was in the final?
Yeah. She went to the side of the track and she's having towels and a lot, you know. And us, just standing there waiting for the next time to go on. And it was so hot, you know, I couldn't do it. I just said, I can't do it, please let us have a break. But they wouldn't, being the Italians. And then that was funny because I bought my first crash hat there. I was the first person ever to wear a crash hat. And there's a cycle shop just outside the rink at the time. And they just built this rink, but there was a cycle shop, and I bought a leather crash hat, and I've still got it, you know. But I thought it was a good idea. So everybody laughed at me. But a little time later, gradually, crash hats is creeping in. And then another time I was in Insel, and I had the team uniform on, a white t-shirt and black shorts, and I was going really well, and all of a sudden I was at the front and I went from first to last in one straight. They went like that with my t-shirt and swung me backwards. So I thought, right, so what did I do the next year? Sewed the knickers to the t-shirt and made it a leotard. And then everybody started having leotards. So I started the trend on that because I done it, and I remember Marissa Denise done it, and everybody did it after that because nobody could grab hold of you.
So you was a pioneer.
Oh yeah.
So in Venice, so was that the first time you'd skated a bank track?
Yeah. I didn't know what to do, and it was funny because my number was 39.
Really?
And Pat Barnett and I went down into the showers, and I put my thing over top and having a nice shower, and I looked up and there's some windows there and there's blokes looking in. So I'm screaming to Pat, Pat, they've seen me numbers. And that's all I was worried about. They'd seen me starkers and they'd seen my number, 39. But oh dear, I walked around with my head down all the time. It was horrendous. But that time they kept trying to put me over the barrier.
So what was it like to get a silver medal in the World Championships? I mean, you know...
Didn't really know what it meant.
Really?
No, I just, I had to work so hard. You know, I had 2 jobs. So, I mean, you skate, you just kept changing your hat for whatever you was doing. And that's all I never really thought.
Tell me the story about Venice and the getting changed in the shop window. Go on, tell me that one, because I can't remember the full story. But,
Well, it's not what you really want to put on.
tell me about it.
I got packed. I used to finish work at 10:30 at night. I had to bring the guns home and everything and take the staff home. So I'd forgotten to pack any bras. So I said to Pepper on it, I said, Pat, I'm in trouble here, I've got no underclothes. She said, well, we'll go out and get some.
In Venice?
Yeah. So, Mr. Lamb, I went to Mr. Lamb. Pat said, he's married, go and talk to him. So I said, excuse me, Mr. Lamb. I said, I've come without any bra. I said, could Pat and I go out and get them? Because you wasn't allowed out on your own. Oh, he said, well, we'd take the boys for a walk. So we're walking along. So I said to Pat, how am I going to ask for what size I want? Danny Kelly looks at me, he says, all you do, he says, you go like that and say, got a pair to fit that. Well, I nearly died that he knew. So we went in this boutique and we've got the whole of the British team stood outside and they've put me in a little corner and I'm trying them on in the window. That was one episode in Venice.
So you didn't realise you were in the shop window. You thought you were going to a changing room.
Yeah. And in Venice that time, we had T-shirts, and if we said we wanted a 36 T-shirt, Henry would put it up to a 38. So when we'd ask for what size we wanted, that was what we wanted. But Henry always gave us a couple of extra inches. So I said to Pat, I'm going to do it the other way. So we've got it nice and tight. So he's took some off, hasn't he? So I've got a T-shirt on. I can't put my arms out, I can't get my arms down. Well, Pat and I, we was crying. Because we laughed so much that afternoon, we couldn't get up the banking.
So.
And then another time,
Go on.
Henry had said, right, we have to change trains at so-and-so. And Pat and I, because it was a sort of a masculine sport, we used to like to try and dress nicely. So we had these grey dresses on, red high-heeled shoes and a blazer. And Henry picks his case up, which you could pick up with one finger, it was that light. And he runs off and leaves us, and we're running along trying to catch him. And, oh dear, we had some good laughs.
So it was happy times then in the camp, you know.
Oh yeah, it was most. Other than Henry, he was he liked to go and help the Italians to, you know, like he'd go up and give them a big kiss and catch them going over the line. You could be crawling along on your hands and knees and he wouldn't bother. But once we was in Belgium, I think it was, or Italy, and the boys had decided to put Henry's bed out on his veranda. So we carried the whole of the bedroom out to the veranda, and some idiot threw a bucket of water over it. The Spaniards, I think it was. So he came back in. He came home late. He woke us all up, got us out of bed to move his bed back and get dry sheets and this, that and the other. And the next day it's teeming down the rain and the puddles was about that thick on the track. He said, right, he said, you better go for a warm-up. And I said, what? He said, go on, because everybody's there under covers and that. And he made me go out and do a 500 metre. Well, I went through the water and he come over my boots. That's how deep it was. Yeah, nice.
So he's a character then, was he?
Yeah, oh. Well, we had laughs with him. And then he'd take us on the tram. He'd walk us for miles, take us on the tram, and then ask the man to stamp our passports.
Well, so you come back from Venice. And then in 1963, now you may or may not remember this, I don't know, but on Herne Bay, in the quarter mile. Bobby Woodley wins the quarter mile on Herne Bay, and Val Jennings was second and you was third. But the quarter mile was your event. What happened there then for you to come third?
Well, I took my skates off and I said, could you please look after them for me? And I put my skates back on, went on, and my wheels come off. He'd loosened my wheels.
Who?
An ex-boyfriend. Well, he was a skater.
Who?
And
Oh, come on. I mean,
Johnny Whitmore.
Oh, okay.
So he'd loosened all my wet nuts. And
Oh, right.
I finished up, I lost 32 inches of skin on that fall. But I still finished third with 6 wheels, I think it was.
So,
But I'll tell you something, all the boys wanted to pull him to pieces.
oh, really? So it was 1963.
Yeah, well, that's when John done it.
Yeah.
I mean,
I didn't know that story. I just wanted to know what happened because it was unusual that you come third. But
the trouble was, John, you'd come to the trials, but he wasn't really good enough. He was a good hockey player,
yeah.
but he wasn't good enough to get in the team, and he was jealous. So they said to us one day at Birmingham, right, anybody that don't come to the training next week's out the team. They provisionally picked us. And John said to me, we're going to pictures next weekend. I said, well, no, I'm going up here. Well, I'm not coming. I said, well, you don't have to, John, you're not in the team, or whatever happened. So that was the end of John.
You and Johnny Wickwell.
Yeah. Mind you, he used to two-time me behind my back. I'd have to be in by past 10, and he'd go up the rink and pick up girls.
So that was 1963 then. So that was the end of Johnny Wickwell. But the World Championships were in Nantes in 1963 in France, and it was just only yourself and Pat Barnett. But
loads of fish there. It stunk round the fish market.
That's right, it was around the fish market.
I remember.
And but Danny and Leo both win World Championships. Yeah. Leo won the 10,000 metres.
Yeah, and
Danny the 1,000 metres. But there's a photograph of you.
Like this.
Yeah. When Danny, I think it was against Guardiola in the semi-final.
Just coming up the last straight.
Yeah, and that must have been the semi-final because I think he was against Guardiola in that picture.
Oh, Federico.
Yeah, and I think Danny beat Guardiola in the semi-final and then made the final. But
I've got a lovely photo of Guardiola sprinting.
Yeah.
But his feet is not on the floor at all.
Well, in the 1,000. Everybody says that Leo gave Danny the title. What do you think? I mean, I suppose he did, but how do you think that came about, or what do you think about that?
I don't honestly know anything about that.
Right.
Don't honestly know.
Yeah.
Because the boys would talk amongst themselves.
Yeah, okay. When both Danny and Leo both won world titles, what was it like in the skating camp? Was it? Can you remember it? Can you remember them winning?
Yeah. I can remember, I don't know, couldn't get any presents to bring home. And I finished up getting a box of stuffed snails. And Danny wanted to throw him out the plane because it was making him sick because he'd got well oiled. And I got them home and dropped them. When I got to the doorstep, they fell in the basement. So that was the end of them.
So, when in 1964, then you go to Spain, Madrid, and again it's just you and Pat.
Yeah.
I don't know whether you remember much of Madrid, the World Championships in Madrid.
Altiro Park.
Right. Okay. Oh, well done. Oh, okay. I didn't know that. That's Pamplona, isn't it? Oh no, Madrid. That's good. Madrid. What I'm talking about.
And
Altiro Park.
it was funny because Cantarella was training and he was coming behind like a tuk-tuk,
Yeah.
and all you could see was arms and legs. Yeah.
I think that was his first championship. I think 64 must have been his first.
And I've got a nice picture actually taken there with Annalisa and everybody. And no, that was, I never forget that because, well, I wouldn't say I got drunk, but...
You got drunk?
No, I'll tell you what, I bought a beautiful white dress with a big cluster of pearls there. And Pat we'd go down to dinner all dressed up, makeup, and we had sangria on our table. Well, it was like lemonade.
So you did get drunk?
Well, I don't know if it was drunk or what, but well, we started laughing, and I've got big long black tears running down there. I just started laughing, and we couldn't stop laughing. Oh, we did have a laugh though.
So, and again, a year later, you've got Wetron. You go back to Wetron,
Yeah.
and it's this time as you, Pat, and Donna Nash.
Yeah.
What was she like? Because I don't. You know,
She does stock car racing.
does she still do? Still do stock car racing? Does she?
Yeah, I think so. She well, I remember her going in one race, and she just went off the back and just done the distance. And she was off the back all the time.
So, because I think in because I've got some photographs of the squad sessions in '65 at Kings Norton, and having some photos taken with Ricky May then and Danny Kelly and
Yeah.
you know and Leo and Bill Sharman, I think it was the other one, and yourself and Pat and Donna Nash. But Donna Nash is a name that she didn't seem to win any medals in British Championships. How did she get in the team? What was it? Was it the trials or what? Or
I don't remember.
you know, it just seemed a very strange.
Yeah, it was strange. I'll tell you what happened. We got to Kings Norton late, and I'm going along in my car, and a tyre burst, and I spun round 3 times and finished in the gutter. And luckily there was a big lorry behind us, and he slowed all the traffic down so that nothing was going to, hit us. So we managed to get out the gutter, change the wheel, and the tyre looked like a biscuit, because it was all the metal was like a biscuit, all cut,
Yeah.
So we changed the tyre, and we pulled in the Blue Ball and had a cup of coffee or tea. And the man said to me, he said, you was very, very lucky there, because he was a transport driver. And he told us what had happened. So we got training, and Henry Crystal's throwing a wobbler, because we're late. I felt like wrapping this tie around his neck. But we told him what had happened, but he didn't care. That makes no difference, you be here on time. Sweet Henry.
Good old Henry. So in the Worlds in '65, I don't know if you remember this as well, but Danny Kelly and Bill Sharman, they do the relay together,
Yeah.
and they win the relay. I think they won the relay on the road. There's only because in them days it wasn't a world championship.
No,
it was just
a
a relay.
yeah.
But did they have relays for the women as well?
No, I don't think so.
No.
I seemed to skated for New Zealand once in a relay.
You did? Did
Yeah.
you? Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know.
Well, they was the girls short.
Yeah.
Yeah, and one of them gave me Mervyn Wybrock gave me a New Zealand.
Yeah, I mean, that'd have been in 1960. Merv Wybrock won in '60. Yeah, so.
No, it wasn't. It was Dean Hayes.
Oh, so they've been later on.
Dean Hayes.
Yeah, '69.
He gave me a tracksuit.
Right.
Because I was his mechanic in New Zealand, in Argentina.
Argentina, that's like, yeah, right.
Because I said to the boys, can I help you with skates? No, we're all right. So I done Dean's, and he won one, and then I think Jerry won one, and somebody else won one, but they still didn't. He sent me when I got home. His father had a sheep farm, and he sent me sheepskin rugs and little tickies, and he sent me so many things. And I spoke to him last year.
Oh really?
I found his phone number,
Oh, really?
and we had a chat, and it was and he's still with Marlene.
Oh right.
Yeah.
Well, when in '65, did it? That's what I want to ask you. Is that in the World Championships, and like the British Championships as well, is that the men had in the British Championships the men had 3 distances and the women had 2, and in the World Championships the men had 4 distances and the women had 3. Did you ever think about that and the inequality of it, or did you ever think it never really bothered you, never really thought about it, that it wasn't equal back then?
No.
Because it's a big thing these days, obviously, is, women being equal in sport and all
Yeah,
that.
no,
But
never
back
thought
then,
of
never
it.
even thought that. So, and also, so in 65, so Wexham was 65, but then you go to Syracuse later on, and again, you take a medal in the knockout in Syracuse this time. You take a bronze in 1965. I think Pat took bronze in the 3000 and the 5000 as well.
Oh, Pat Barnett.
It was Pat Barnett, and Ricky May did okay, and Bill Sharman
You
did
sure
okay.
that wasn't?
That was on the bank track in Syracuse, where the swimming pool, the big diving board.
Oh,
I think it was like Cantarella's hometown
Yeah.
as well. I think, and I know you took a medal. You took a bronze medal in the knockouts.
because then we had to come back by train or something.
Okay.
And I went to Insel after that.
And that's 65, yeah, possibly, yeah. That was 65. But you don't remember winning the world. You don't remember winning a bronze medal in the knockouts in Syracuse. Because what I was going to ask you, because obviously you got a medal. I think Pat got 2 bronze in the 3000, the 5000, and you'd got Bill and Ricky winning medals in the men's. Was there an expectation of the British team to come home with medals back then? Do you think?
No. It's always a big shock.
Right. Not as much as it is these days. So it's not. You wouldn't. No. You think that when you got it, when
Everybody trained as hard as they could.
Yeah.
I mean, mine, I was lucky. I used to finish 5th or 6th in the sprints most years.
Right.
It was
Yeah.
always the Italians, and Annie would get in front of me,
Yeah.
and then that Insel that time. I think I dead heated with Annie once
Okay.
because there's a little gold cup, and Annie gave me the cup, and they was going to get her another one.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, well, in 1965, also, you leave Broadway and go and join the Palace.
I left Broadway because everybody left.
Is that what it was? The club was really
everybody had gone. There was nobody left.
right. So I suppose Joan
was
had packed
about-
up and
The two, all the Parsons packed up
right.
because their husbands were skating. As
Yeah,
well.
Roy Parsons.
Delcy Freeman and her husband Wally
Yeah.
and their kids packed. Everybody packed up, and there was maybe 1 or 2 or 3 people joined it, and they knew everything. You know, they'd forgotten more than anybody else
Yeah.
knew. So I let them get on with it.
So,
I had nobody to train with.
and what made you join the Palace? Was it because there was a few clubs in London back then? So why
I joined the
specifically
Palace because they had some skaters.
Right. Okay.
Because I went up and I said to Miriam Cooper, I said, "Oh, excuse me, Mrs. Cooper," I said, "would there be any chance of me joining the Palace?"
Yeah, because Cyril was Broadway. Cyril Cooper
Yeah,
was
but
really
then he
Broadway.
went Palace.
Palace. Oh, right. Okay.
And she said, "Yeah, we'd love to have you." So then I joined the Palace. But Jean Smith had just left. Then Pat Easton joined the Palace.
Yeah, she did a relay. What? Did she join the Palace or did she just skate the relay for the Palace?
No, she joined the Palace, came up to join.
Why was that?
She wanted to go in the relay.
And is that what it was? Just the relay?
Well, I don't know. I know that we had the half-mile championship, the club championship. And I went from the gun the whole way. Nobody come in front of me. Nobody attempted anything. I won. And then I was told not long after that I rode Pat all the way and just passed her on the line.
Who told you that?
That's what certain people's telling people.
So certain people being who?
Well, you know, John.
I don't know. Is this what Pat says you're saying? Or, yeah?
Well, obviously it's what Pat
Oh,
said.
I don't know. I don't know.
But she hadn't have even passed me.
Right, okay. So was that when she joined the Palace? Is that when
Oh,
she was
she
going
was
to?
in
So it was the
the
club championships then, was it?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, and then when the relay came, it was at Birmingham.
Yeah.
And I think Cyril said to me, he said to Pat, I think it was, you start and Chloe finishes. So she said, I'm a better finisher than Chloe. She ought to start and I ought to finish. And you didn't tell Cyril what you was going to do. He told you. So he said, all right then. He said, you start and you finish. That was me. And I got on the line, and I'll never forget it, there was Pat Roberts, Ray Roberts, Danny Kelly stood there. And Danny Kelly said to me, as I was just getting down to start, he said, this is the only time I don't wish you luck, Chloe. And I said, and I'll sort you out after. And I'll never forget, it was somebody, Pat Roberts, no, but it'll drop that. Pat was given a drink of scotch, somebody had upset her. And she's like this, so she said, I can't drink this. I said, give me. And I knocked it, but I've never been round that rink as fast as that. God dear.
So how would you describe your relationship with Pat Eason? I mean, like over the years. I mean, there's obviously a lot of rivalry, but you.
No, at one time.
Yeah.
I thought they was my friends.
Right.
I mean, they used to come here nearly every other weekend.
Yes, yeah, I know.
It was Pat and Leo and whoever they had.
Yeah.
I mean, I used to have, what was his name? All the little kids, I had all them sleeping all over the place because I put some upstairs and put the electric blanket on because it was cold, and the next morning they woke up and they're sweating. They didn't know what electric blanket was. But they all made the British team when they got older. But no, she used to regularly come here. They'd come on a Friday night, have dinner. We'd go and race Saturdays. They'd come back, stay the night. We'd go and train Sunday mornings, then they'd go home. And twice I went up when the trials was on at Birmingham. And we used to stop to get something to eat on the way back to Pat's because we used to have a dinner break. So I'd say to Pat, what shall I get? Because I didn't know what to eat. So, she said, what about a nice cheese roll? So I'd buy myself a chunk of cheese and some rolls and that, weigh myself down with that, and she didn't fancy anything when she got home. She'd just have beaten eggs beat up with brandy or something. So one day Henry come back with us. So we stopped. Are you enjoying this, John?
Go on.
So we stopped, and she got Henry some corn, minced beef. And she stuck it in a pan and just fried it. Well, Henry, being Jewish, he liked his food, So she'd fried it, put it on a plate. That was Henry's dinner. So he sees me, he said, what are you eating? He said, take that out your mouth. I said, well, why, Henry? He said, it's the worst thing you can eat is cheese. I said, well, Pat said it was all right. He said, you silly cat. So I didn't have cheese rolls after that. But no, I had a few dirty moves done on me after that, so it was never the same.
Really?
And they were very dirty, so I'm definitely not going to say them on here.
Oh, okay. So you'd say that. So over the years, so the relationship between you and Pat Eason soured, but initially when you was all in the national team in the early '60s, it was all friends together, or there was no rivalry in the national team.
Would you like just one funny thing?
Go on. This is your interview.
Well, we was in Barcelona. Yeah, Barcelona.
67.
I don't know.
Yeah, it was 1967.
There was Pat Eason,
Yeah.
Pat Barnett, and Miriam Cooper.
Yeah. It was the only time the ladies skated without the men.
Yeah, and it's the only time we won the World Cup.
Yeah, in the relay.
No, we won it all.
The overall.
Yeah.
The overall. Yeah.
So, Pat always on a Friday night seemed to have a bad accident. You know, she was always, by Saturday she'd always had her bandages on. And Annalisa was looking after her husband who had gangrene in the legs, so she was doing injections and everything. So I said to Pat, I said, well, if you want injections done, I said, Annalisa can do them. So Annalisa came in the room, so I said, hold on a minute. So I put 3 flowers on Pat. She was like, I said, hey, I've laid her out for you.
Oh dear.
Well, she was always so ill, you know, and then she caught them terrible shingles things, and that was really bad.
Well, you talk about 67 because before the Worlds in 67, you'd do the very first Europeans when they were just Europeans on their own right in Insel, and there was so there was you, Pat Barnett, Pat Eason, and Kathy Smith makes the team for the first time.
Oh yes, that's right.
And you'd got also, I think Derek Blake, I think was in the team.
Yeah.
And Johnny Foley, Bill Sharman, and Ron Hawkes. In the 500 metres, Pat gets second and you get third. Do you remember that at all?
Pat Eason or
Yeah,
Pat Barnett?
Pat Eason. Yeah, in the knockouts, I think she comes second and you come third. I got a photograph of you on the rostrum with her second. You don't remember? You don't remember
I haven't
that?
even got that photo.
You don't remember.
No.
But do you remember Insel and the team then? 'Cause it was a strange team like Derek Blake and Ron
I'll
Hawkes.
tell you what, Kathy used to suffer from claustrophobia.
Oh really?
Yeah, she had to have a room with a window.
I knew she wouldn't fly. I knew she wouldn't. I know she was. She didn't want to go on a plane.
No, she had to have the choice of the rooms to sort.
Okay. So.
And then she wouldn't come out with us when we was all going out, and she told the boys that we'd left her all on her own.
Yeah, she did say she didn't feel part of the team.
Well, we offered to wash and set her hair. I had dresses that would fit her. We'd offered to do her makeup. We'd offered to make her really nice, and she refused it. And then told the boys she was sitting there all on her own, and we'd gone out and left her, which was not a very nice thing to do.
So that was the first time she was
But
67.
I've heard they've had quite a few digs at me. That's why I'm remembering some of what they done to me.
That's all right. As I said, this is your interview. You know, this is you can say what you like. So. In Barcelona, going back into Barcelona, so the team wins the overall. But did you skate all the events? Because I can only find that you skated the 3000 for some reason, and I didn't know why you didn't do the sprint. I couldn't work out unless you did, but I can't find the results of it.
I don't know. I don't remember.
So okay.
I know I got a high place in the 3000 because it made us win the what's names.
The overall.
Yeah.
But there was.
But I think Pat Barnett was skating well.
Yeah.
I can't remember how I was skating, and I think Pat and the two Pats had a bit of a collision on the track.
Oh.
I don't. It's such a long time
Yeah.
ago, John. I know it was a track on a flat surface.
Right. Okay.
But
It wasn't bank track, no.
No.
Oh, Barcelona was a flat track.
It was a flat track.
Hold on a sec then, because I'm just going to go and change me. I'm just changing my tape.